So we've got a definition here on the slide. Basically, a platform as a service simplifies some of the infrastructure maintenance that we typically would have to do when developing and launching an app. A good way to think about a platform as a service is to understand what the total realm of possibilities are for deploying our app, because our app has to run on a computer somewhere. So there are a range of ways that this can be done. The most work and the most hands-on is what's called on-premises, which is where you effectively have server racks in your building or in a building that you manage, and then you control absolutely everything. This of course means it's more work, and it's getting rarer to do this these days. The scenarios where you do this are where you have very high security requirements or extremely high performance requirements, or perhaps you're maintaining legacy systems. Then we have infrastructure as a service, which is running in the cloud, typically through a provider like AWS. And in this case, you're responsible for managing everything that you see there in green, but you don't have to worry about taking care of the actual hardware, plugging cables in, placing servers in the rack, that kind of thing. Then we have platform as a service, which also runs in the cloud. But in this case, you don't have to worry about configuring the operating system, middleware, runtime. That's all done for you. So it simplifies the process. And finally, we have software as a service, which is something completely managed and that you don't have any control over, aside from whatever configuration it gives you in the UI. So to summarize, pros and cons of a platform as a service. The good news is that it's simple to set up, maintain, and deploy. Depending on the platform as a service, it can scale to reasonable traffic loads. It frees up developers to focus more on app development and less on sysadmin tasks. And it does make it really easy to replicate dev and test environments. However, on the con side, if you want to scale to very large amounts of traffic or very high computational requirements, it's hard to do that with a platform as a service. Platform as a service tends to be cheaper when you have very low traffic, and then as you ramp it up, it crosses over a threshold where it would become quite a lot cheaper if you were to use an infrastructure as a service instead. If your platform as a service has downtime, there's not a lot you can do about it, whereas with infrastructure as a service you have more flexibility, and you also have limitations just in the amount that you configure with platform as a service.